Welcome to the Think Share. My name's Zach here to bring to what I've been thinking about, sharing about, talking about, listening to, reading about that doesn't belong in math class. If you're new to the channel, I invite you to subscribe. Tonight I was part of an authors panel. It was my newly found friend Nora. Hosted a couple of local authors. My dad found a flyer in the at the YMCA saying like local authors like come to the panel, and he said, "Oh, Zach, you might be interested in this. You can meet some other authors or something." And so I called up and I said, "Hey, I see that you have a local authors panel. Are you interested in having other local authors? Like I saw that it was in Foxborough, and I'm from Foxborough, and I'm around here." And she's like, "Well, tell me about your book." Now this is like a month and a half ago ish, and so I told her about my book, told her a little bit about my story and what I'm up to, and she's like, "Oh yeah, would love to have you." So I became the fifth special guest to the panel. The flyers had already been made, and didn't. Some of the people working on it weren't the most tech savvy, so they just stuck with the ones that they had. So I wasn't on it, but I was proudly a part of it. The thumbnail is two of the authors and Nora, the organizer, and me. And it was, I think whenever you're working with someone that you don't know that well, you're always a little worried that it's not going to come out quite the way you would expected. I think my expectations were I think when you go into a situation like that, it's good to set your expectations on the lower side. So then, if there aren't a ton of things that happen, like you're not disappointed, because I just hate the feeling of disappointment. So I set myself up to assume that not a ton was going to happen, and uh, a bunch of people came. I think I set myself up like ready to assume maybe three or four people, like husbands and wives of the authors, would show up or something. And there ended up being like 20, 25, 30 people almost. I forget how many the total were, but there are a bunch of people. Each of us got like 12, 15 minutes to talk about our book, our process, what we're up to, etc. I really did my best to engage the audience. A couple people were thankful that I chose to go the way I did. But I started out with I was the fourth of the four speakers. One of the original ones dropped out, and I said, "All right, everybody, you guys have all been sitting for 35 minutes. Why don't you stand up and shake it out for a minute?" And I said, "We can do a quick dance lesson. I'll teach you all how to floss." So I did that for 10 seconds in front of them. And then I said, I want to ask you this question. Who here has their Black Mirror with them? Everyone's looking at each other like, what's that? And I just pointed out my phone and I pointed to it. This is your Black Mirror. Like, oh, I get it. And I said, what are some of the problems that are being caused today because of all these Black Mirrors? And people are saying, well, there's no more human connection. Like, people don't talk to each other. They're just on their phone all the time, and people are distracted driving. And trying to remember what the other one was. I said those are all right, and one other thing I'm going to add is we've all become like we're already very much consumers in America. We became even more of consumers. I remember since 2007 when I got my Facebook for the first time. I remember back when I was trying to find out which girls were single, I would spend hours trolling through Facebook, creeping on people, trying to learn about all the other people on there. But Facebook, I was a pure consumer and not a creator. I posted pictures, but I would spend hours on Facebook just looking through pictures and people and stuff. And they introduced Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And for YouTube, I couldn't tell you how many hours. Like if you were to put it in units, I'll bet you over 365 days worth of like YouTube I've probably watched. A lot of that's probably music, but as a consumer, I've consumed so much YouTube content, and it hasn't been until this year until I actually started. So I said, along with the Black Mirrors that we're all using, one, our human interaction stinks, and two, we're all becoming consumers and far less creators. So and that was my sort of interlude into talking about my book. Because I said, my book was meant, one, to deal with my ADHD, as I have a hard time holding my attention span. So the chapters are 2 to 7 pages long. The idea is it sits on a coffee table. It's called Ideas Over Coffee. So if it sits on a coffee table, you can read it for a few minutes, talk to the person next to you, and hopefully look down at your watch, and 4 hours later, like, oh shoot, that was a great conversation. I'm glad we had this. The book is filled with ideas that have left me in conversations for hours with people, just engaged in really experiencing each other, really communicating and getting that real social connection that we just don't see quite enough of today. And the other thing is, it's meant to inspire people to get after their bucket list, to get after the things that they could be doing instead of sitting on the couch watching TV, the things that they could be getting after, to create rather than to just consume. Because I think so many of us are just consumers, and I am so guilty of it. And it hasn't been until about 2016 where I really decided, you know what? Instead of being the 99% that consumes, I want to be a part of the 1% that creates the content that the 99% consume. I want to contribute to this content economy. So those were my two main messages tonight. Is that was the book is for, is to create more human connection and to get people towards making and creating content and getting after their goals and their bucket lists and really trying to step your life up, instead of being kind of the direction that our culture brings us. I mean, our culture is designed to have us become content watchers, not creators. If you think about YouTube, right, there's the autoplay. The moment a video ends, you have to click, like, turn autoplay off. When it comes to Instagram, right, they set it up so that you can just keep swiping up. You can double tap, swipe up, double tap, swipe up. I've spent a stupid amount on time on Instagram and not even realized I did it. Facebook video, right? You click a video in there and it automatically goes to the next one. And it's probably just as viral and entertaining. So if you think about how all these things are designed, they're designed to keep us sucked in. Even TV's not getting as good at it, but they keep you sucked in. Netflix, like, it starts in the next 15 or 30 seconds, the next episode. It's not hard to get sucked in 6 hours at a time. So my book, really tonight, the goal is to, I don't remember the last time I've sold 8 books, but it was a really great night in terms of sales. I think last time I sold 8 books or more was my launch party when I had a bunch of people pre-order the book. What was the other thing I was gonna add? By the way, I'm not sure who's watching, but I'd love to know who you are. You're the only one here. One pretty cool thing was a couple of the women that bought the books were actually, because it's my hometown, they're actually mothers of some of the students that I graduated with. So they actually recognized me from, like, being in the same grade as some of their children. So that was a pretty cool moment. And I think one of the other fun parts of the panel was we did a pretty nice Q&A session at the end there, where there are a couple aspiring authors, there are a couple people just kind of interested in some of the challenges or the things that we had. And it was interesting because there were 2 of us were sort of nonfiction, personal development. 2 of us were like fiction, like storytelling. And I thought it was really, we had a great diversity of experience in there. And I think that was one of the things that really made the Q&A very good, was because somebody was able to answer a lot of the different questions. One of them was, like, what are some of the challenges that you had publishing it? What were some of the challenges that you had like continuing to work on it? What were some of the challenges you had with getting a publisher? What are some of the pros and cons of self-publishing? or finding an independent publisher, or finding a publisher that will also do the advertising for you. Is it free to get it on Amazon? How much does it cost to do various versions of publishing? And we're all able to share, I think, some pretty good experiences that give people an idea of logistics around it, because I think there's a misconception about publishing books that people think you need thousands of dollars to buy a couple thousand books. But with CreateSpace and Amazon, they've made it a lot more easy for authors to create their work and not have to pay and put a huge down payment to make the project exist in the world. I think I paid $80-something for an ISBN code, and then it's like $4 a book or something. So the other cool thing was that I got to use, I think I got it in my pocket. I was pumped I got to use this. So this is the Square Reader. So I plugged this into my phone, and I was able to swipe credit cards through it. And I think 3 or 4 people actually paid with this, which I've always been kind of stuck because I always have to ask for cash. But this allowed me to do a second type of payment tonight, which that was the first for that. I wanted to live stream it, but the Wi-Fi wasn't so great in the building, and I didn't have everybody's permission to be on it. I do have some footage though, which I'll be sharing in the next few days. I'm thinking it'll be there won't be too much to cut up. It'll just be the panel. It'll be my response and my delivery of what I said to the group. That's it today. I know it's pretty late. Looks like nobody's watching for the most part tonight. But yeah, thank you for supporting me. In the near future, I will be talking a bit more about the audiobook, as some people expressed some interest, and I will be having some free promo codes. If you actually made it to 12 minutes into this video, drop me a comment in the bottom asking for a free promo code, and I will send you one when I have them available. I just sent ACX, the Audible company. They're the ones that worked with Audible so that I could self-publish the audiobook. Let me know in the comments, or send me an email at thethinkshare@gmail.com. I'll send you a free promo code when I receive them. Thank you for watching this far, and if you're one of those people. That's all I got for today. I'll show you one thing is I'm staying with my mom tonight because my dad's out in California, and my mom came to watch tonight. Usually I let Alyssa do this because she finds it really satisfying, is when you take a bow tie and pull it out and it just releases. So satisfying. All right, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, or if I've impacted you in any way, share it and or like it. Thank you for watching. Stay weird, humans. Yoy.